So today's conversation is going to be a little less formal than usual for good reason. And that's because so many of you have asked me to share my workout routine. And rather than overthink this video, I figured the best way to share this with you would be in a straightforward, less poetic conversation. However, I'm still going to organize this video in a way that makes sense so it's easy for you to follow and get a good grasp of why I do things the way I do. So first, I'm going to break down my training style and why I train the way I do. Secondly, I'll show you the equipment I own and use. And lastly, I'll walk you through what a typical week might look like for me. All right, so before I jump into the training style that I currently follow, it might be helpful if I add a bit of context to this conversation in regards to my workout and training history. Growing up, I was an athlete from the very beginning, playing just about every sport from football to baseball to basketball, and I started running track in high school. And because of my deep-rooted interest in athletics, I also began lifting weights early on as well. So weights and I had a pretty close relationship for the first 2.5 decades of my life. However, in recent years, my training style has grown to be much different. So what training style do I currently follow and have been following for the last 3 to 4 years? Well, I do something called intuitive training that's centered around calisthenics and weighted calisthenics. Now, what is intuitive training? It means you look at your body for direction on what you should be doing and how hard you should be working and when, rather than doing an extra tough workout just because your fitness program says so. Now, I used to follow strict workout programs in the past where every Monday was the same, every Tuesday was the same, every Wednesday, and so on, with the only real goal of adding weight each week in effort to increase my 1 rep max. However, the day I decided to give calisthenics and this idea of intuitive training a try, I'm not gonna lie, it took some adjusting to because I was so used to doing things one way my entire life. But I can honestly say that I've grown to love it and arguably feel stronger and healthier because of it. Instead of following a strict program and doing what it tells me to do, I simply train hard when I'm feeling up for it and easier when I'm feeling a bit off. Now, I do want to add that I still have structure within my workouts so that I'm always moving towards my fitness goals. I'm not just making this up as I go. There's a rhyme and a reason, but I'll talk more about that later. All right, now let's talk about the fitness equipment that I own and use, starting from left to right. Your left, my right. First thing first is I have a foam roller. This is great if you're a runner or if you work out a lot, especially if you get sore muscles in your legs or your lats. This muscle here, if you do a lot of pull-ups, this is great for that, to relax those muscles, to roll out the soreness before you start your next workout. Next, I have a pull-up bar. This is one that hooks on the door frame. Because we live in an apartment, this works perfectly for me. I don't have to worry about damaging anything. You can also tell that I use this a lot because the handle is taped here. It started to rip on me, but hey, it still gets the job done. I also have these grips here. These are thicker. You can kind of see that there. Sometimes I'll put this on the pull-up bar, just like this. So when I'm doing my pull-ups, not only am I working on my back because I'm doing a pull-up, but I'm also challenging my grip strength and strengthening my forearm because this grip is much wider. So that's always fun to use. And then I can move this in 3 different positions on the pull-up bar as well. All right. Next, I have a 10-pound medicine ball. I mainly use this for abs. It's not much to say about this, but yeah, a 10-pound medicine ball. And then I also have a jump rope here. Now, one thing you should know about me is that I love to jump rope. This is extremely challenging, especially if you do it in a way that's challenging. So this gets a ton of use out of everything that I have. I've had this the longest. You can probably tell because it's a little green and muddy and dirty here at the bottom, but this gets a lot of use and I love the jump rope. Next, I have these resistance bands here. So these here come with handles. So I have 2 handles here as well. And then I also have a door anchor, which allows me to hook this resistance band into the door and do lots of movements like that as well. Now, these resistance bands do come in different weights of resistance. So this one is 50 pounds. I also have a 40 pound, a 30, a 20, and a 10. But I'll tend to do this when I don't want to do weights or anything like that. So I'll do rowing movements with this. I'll do shoulder presses with this. I'll do squats with this sometimes if I don't want to use my kettlebells, which I'll show you later. But this is a really handy tool. It's also extremely versatile. I can travel with these. I've thrown this into my suitcase and taken it with me on trips because it's something I can easily do in a hotel if that hotel doesn't have a fitness center. So pair of those. I also have other rubber bands here. So this is a smaller yellow one and then this thicker purple one. These also have different resistance. Sometimes I'll squat with these. Sometimes I'll use it as a warm up. So I'll take it like this and I'll warm up my shoulders by doing something kind of like this to warm up my shoulders. But this is really versatile as well. Sometimes I've thrown this in my suitcase and taken it with me on different trips. So like I said, I have the yellow one and the purple one here. And then I also have these smaller bands here. These are great to warm up your hips. Maybe you've seen this before in videos, but sometimes I put this around my ankles, around my knees, and I do opening movements or side walks to help strengthen my hips and just loosen my hips up before I do squats and things like that. Then I have a set of parallettes here. This is really fun to use. I mainly use these for push-ups, for L-sits, for planche holds, which is a calisthenics movement. But these are really fun to use. These get a ton of use as well. They're not as versatile. I can't really throw this in a suitcase and bring it with me, but whenever I'm here at home, these do get a lot of use. All right, next I have a golf ball. So quick tip for you, if you're a runner, if you work out and your feet hurt, the arches of your feet, grab a golf ball and just roll your foot out, right? Put a little pressure on it and just roll it out. You can thank me later. All right, next I have two kettlebells here, right? I have one that is 53 pounds and one that is 35 pounds. So these guys here, they are the newest addition to my fitness equipment. They're really fun. I've never really used kettlebells before, but I'm starting to get into them. You can do a lot of movements with these. So I do things like squats. I do things like kettlebell cleans, kettlebell swings, snatches. I also do a movement that's called a Turkish get up. And this is a really great movement for stabilizing the muscles in your shoulder and working on balance. I'll overlay some B-roll here so you can see what that looks like. But these are really cool. They are challenging. They're a little heavy. They're a little awkward too. So if you never use them, please be careful. Fair warning, but they are a really fun tool to use in a part of your fitness or training routine. All right. Next here, I have a 20-pound weight vest. This thing is old. I've had this for years, but I mainly use this weight vest for push-ups, for pull-ups, for squats, single leg squats, things like that. The individual weights in here are removable. So this can go all the way down to no weights or all the way up to 20 pounds. But it is old, like I said. I do plan on getting one that is a little heavier, but this gets the job done for right now. Next, I have a ab roller here. So again, pretty straightforward, just like the medicine ball. I can do abs with this if I don't want to use the medicine ball. And then lastly, let's talk about these guys. So I have two gymnastics rings and also two dip bars. Now, these gymnastic rings are really, really, really fun. If you never used these before, I highly consider you getting a pair. They're not that expensive. Again, I'll leave links to all of this as much as I can down in the description for you. But these here I mainly use for push-ups, pull-ups, rows, dips. And the reason I like these gymnastics rings is because not only can you do various movements with them, they are very versatile. You can throw this on a tree, your door frame, the pull-up bar that I have, but they also add a different dynamic to your workout. So not only are you doing the movement, but they also add some stability challenges, right? So for example, if I'm doing dips, I'm doing the dip movement, so I'm strengthening my body doing the dip movement, but I'm also working on stability. I also have to stabilize myself because these gymnastic rings aren't solid, right? They move. They're not going to just stand there like these dip bars. So they definitely move. So it definitely adds some challenging to the workout, but I truly enjoy this and they're really fun. Then lastly here, I have these dip bars. These I've had for years as well, but I do things like dips on here, rows, L-sits, abs, different things like that. My wife will use these as well. So she'll do dips in her movements on this also because this is a little challenging for her, the gymnastic rings, but she loves to use these as well. And yeah, that is my fitness equipment. Okay, let's talk weekly workout routine. What do I typically do in a week? Well, first, let's break down the structure within my workouts that I mentioned earlier. So currently I'm following an upper body, lower body split. All that means is on day one, I do upper body exercises, and on day two, I do lower body exercises. And the remaining 3 days is usually a mix of yoga and an activity, such as running, basketball, tennis, rock climbing, things like that. I'm also thinking about getting a bike, so I can throw that into the mix as well. Now, keep in mind that I do train intuitively, so not every week is the same. Sometimes I do more than this, but at a bare minimum, this is generally what it looks like. At this current moment, one of my fitness goals is to do a handstand push-up. So one of my upper body days during the week is geared towards exercises that support that goal. Meaning I'll do handstand work and push exercises first, followed by back and pulling exercises second. For example, after warming up, I'll start with 4 to 5 sets of handstand holds against the wall so I can continue to build up my static strength in this position. Following that, I'll do a few sets of pike push-ups and other various movements before doing anything back related. I also tend to superset many exercises as well, depending on what I'm doing. On lower body days, I'll usually switch between an explosive focused day and a strength focused day. However, because of my intuitive training style, if I feel like going hard on both days, then I'll definitely step it up. But if my body is telling me to take it easy, then I'll do that. This also goes for upper body days as well. Now, an example of an explosive day, which are usually pretty fun, will look something like this. I'll jump rope or jog as a warm-up. Then I'll follow that with a few sets of jump squats, split squats, kettlebell swings, kettlebell cleans, and other explosive movements before finishing with a unilateral exercise such as pistol squats or lunges. Now, sets and reps truly depend on how I feel that day. So my unilateral movements might be 2 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 15. I also finish up every upper body and lower body day with core exercises. Now, on days that I don't specifically do upper body or lower body, I generally do a yoga flow for 30 to 45 minutes, which is also a form of strength training in itself. Or I'll go outside and do an activity like basketball or tennis if I'm not particularly in the mood to run for miles during the warmer months of the year. Well, there you go. That is my minimalist workout routine, including the training style that I follow and the equipment that I own and use. Again, links to mostly everything will be down in the description below. If you enjoyed this less formal format in this video, comment below and let me know. Keep growing, keep learning, and always stay true to you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.